Hello. Before I talked about art, but now I want to talk about religion, partly because the Pope made some comments this morning during the general audience, and he said that we must distinguish between true rest and false rest, and by this I think he means the false rest of escapism and seeking things in a materially attached way, and the true rest being much more of a spiritual nature. And it made me think the way I described art before was that true rest or false rest, and how did it pertain to the spiritual life. But the key thing the Pope says is to find rest in Jesus, and I agree with that completely, and that's why I'm going to make this brief video today and talk about that, because really as a Christian, then Jesus is the pinnacle of our lives, really, and it's not just about his life and example and words in the New Testament. There's all the body of literature of the saints, and there's the liturgy of the church, and there's everything like that, but really you can just focus and meditate on an aspect of the life of Jesus or one of the mysteries, like the crown of thorns, which I find to be very useful. Meditating on the crown of thorns or the crucifixion is very powerful and often leads to deep insights about the nature of things, and so I find that to be very useful. But also just meditating before an icon of Rublev's Trinity, which depicts the Father, Son and Holy Spirit as three angels or travellers from the story in Genesis concerning Abraham. And so that's an example, but for me, religion is more powerful than art. I need to make that clear. And meditation and seeking God through meditation and prayer is the highest thing. There's nothing higher than that. And unless we talk about the Mass, the Eucharist, but some people have different preferences between the Eucharist and prayer. For me, I find more in prayer than in going to church, but Catholics place a great emphasis on the Mass, so we mustn't forget about that. But I just find going to Mass so difficult with all the crowds there, and it's just so difficult to deal with, and I get a lot of social anxiety, and I find that solitary prayer is the best thing for me personally, from a spiritual standpoint. But anyway, there's meditation and there's contemplation. I can't claim to be anywhere near contemplation really, but for me, meditation is fine, and Thomas Merton talks a lot about meditation as being a good means to reach God and to explore the depths of one's being in God and all that sort of thing. So I find that to be very important. But really, I just want to emphasise that art, as important as art is, it's not the ultimate thing. The ultimate thing is God and Jesus as well. And we can study a commentary of the four Gospels like Thomas Aquinas's Catena Aurea, but and that's very helpful for understanding Jesus' life. But really, there's just so much that can be studied in the writings of the saints and meditated on in the life of Jesus and in the mysteries, thinking of the Rosary mysteries, and it's all enough for a lifetime of thought, really. And so I think the Pope's comments are very pertinent today, because when I was talking about art, was that a false rest perhaps? I don't know. I don't think it was, because finding creative inspiration in art is very closely tied to spirituality, and especially when it's the Middle Ages, for example, when everything was centred on religion. But yeah, it just worried me a bit when I heard that from the Pope, because I wasn't sure what to make of it, but I'm going to dwell on it carefully. And yeah, religion is the supreme for me. I mean, just being able to speak with God and with Jesus and the saints and Mary and all of that sort of thing is just absolutely brilliant. And God, throughout my life, or throughout my Christian life, God has been there, and like in my mind, in my mind's eye, and He's been there to assist me and to help me in various situations. So that's all been very important, but probably I don't pray enough, really. I mean, that's something that I really need to do more of. I certainly read religious material more than I'll pray, and like the Bible, I read a lot of the Bible, and commentaries on the Bible and the writings of the saints, and that can sometimes replace prayer, but at least it's spiritual reading. That's something. So, and those are just my thoughts on it, and how Jesus is really the supreme principle as the God-man, and we should try and imitate Christ wherever possible, and put him at the forefront of our minds and meditate on his life, and especially on his suffering and passion, because that's so powerful. So yeah, those are my thoughts on religion, and I do value religion above art and above all things. So I wanted to make that clear. Thank you.